incredibly, unbelievably average.
Been waiting for this my whole life.
Nate Bargatze hosts The Greatest Average American.
Welcome back. Sarah's Behind is on the Behind the Table podcast today. Thanks to Carly Fiorina for guest co-hosting. We want you all to have a great day, everyone. Take a little time to enjoy the view and don't get down. We're all in it together. We'll get through it as we always do. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is ABC 7 News at Noon.
A Liberty man charged with murder was in court yesterday. Good afternoon, I'm Susan Farley. Former Maine gubernatorial candidate Elliot Cutler will be back in court for a hearing to amend his bail. And the Maine Chamber of Commerce is speaking out against the proposed supplemental budget. Thank you for joining us. We'll have more on these and other stories coming up. First, let's check in with meteorologist Devin Biggs. Devin?
Hey Susan, happy Wednesday afternoon. The small craft advisory has been allowed to expire with wave heights presently decreasing. As we check things out, the last of the precipitation has since gotten out of here and we're in for a nice day today. And even as we look ahead towards tomorrow, high pressure will be our friend as we keep things nice and quiet. As we do zoom things out, look at the entire Northeast. This is looking rather nice with no activity going on. You have to look further out towards sea for any kind of activity that is presently going on with some clouds passing through. Futurecast for us, not too bad. A lot of clear skies, a few passing clouds to the north, and that's about it. We'll be mostly clear coming up later on tonight, and even for your Thursday, we will have lots of sunshine. Just some gusty winds up to around 10 to 15 miles per hour today. Some gusty winds along the coast, but even that will be rather minimal moving forward. And even as we head towards your Thursday, that's when the winds will be on the increase. So for today, okay, mid-40s, mostly sunny and a light north breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, mid-20s, mostly clear with the winds overall looking nice and calm. Hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine today. Temperatures in the 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Susan?
Thank you, Devin. A Liberty man charged with murder in connection with a Palermo homicide appeared in court yesterday to enter a plea. 59-year-old Kirby Bradford pleaded not guilty in connection with a homicide in Palermo in April of last year. Police say they found the body of 56-year-old Robert Brusso outside the residence at 128 Boots and Saddle Road when they went for a welfare check. In court, the state asked for a writing sample from Bradford to compare it to a handwritten note found in a workspace Bradford used.
Police found trash. In that trash was a written note that contained a relatively detailed, I don't want to overstate, but a relatively detailed diagram of the victim's property and a list of things that whoever wrote the note, a jury could reasonably infer was a list of either things to get or actions to accomplish, such as stun gun, bring him someplace out of sight, zip ties.
The judge granted the request for a writing sample. Bradford was indicted on a second charge of possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. The judge decided not to have that charge tried at the same time because it could potentially prejudice the jury. Bradford is being held without bail until his trial. Former Maine gubernatorial candidate Elliot Cutler will be back in court for a hearing on a motion to amend his bail. Back in 2023, Cutler was convicted on 4 counts of possession of sexually explicit material of a child under 12. He spent less than a year behind bars. Since then, the 79-year-old has been accused of violating his probation more than once by allegedly accessing sexually explicit content online and possessing unmonitored devices. In February, he was incarcerated without bail for his 3rd alleged probation violation. Now Cutler's attorney is asking a Hancock County judge to release his client on a reasonable bail given the non-criminal nature of his defendant's conduct. Cutler is scheduled to appear at the Hancock County Courthouse today at 1 p.m. Waterville firefighters managed to save a home last night on Oak Street. They were called there around 7:15 p.m. after a mobile sauna caught fire near the residence. They managed to snuff out the flames in a short amount of time, leaving only minor damage to the siding on the nearby home. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. The Maine State Chamber of Commerce is speaking out against the proposed supplemental budget, specifically a new tax proposal. The budget contains a proposal to place a special additional 2% tax on those earnings $1 million more each. This includes both residents and businesses. The chamber gathered yesterday to say they think the new tax could actually cause an exodus from the state, and that would be bad for the state's economy. They also said the new tax would make it difficult for family members to transfer ownership of a family business or even just retire.
You know, we have a number of well-known employee-owned businesses, Chinbro, for example, that when they exit as an employee, they sell the share of the company. That is their retirement. So we're imposing a tax on those very businesses that are building the economy in Maine.
Woodcock says this tax proposal should be stricken from the budget due to widespread skepticism, along with at least one other proposal to help create a bipartisan budget. Governor Janet Mills released a detailed policy platform that outlines how she plans to address several critical issues if elected to the U.S. Senate. Maine's Senate race is becoming one of the most closely watched races in our state. Our Grace Blanchard spoke with a political expert to break down the latest developments.
Expanding health care, child care, and capping prescription drug costs. Those are just a few issues that Governor Janet Mills touched on as she released a nearly 20-page policy platform for her U.S. Senate campaign. The platform builds on proposals she has already outlined, including fighting for universal health care and defending women's reproductive freedom.
To this point, you know, the governor's campaign has really been one that's focused on, standing up, being the best candidate to stand up to Donald Trump.
Political expert Mark Brewer says he was not surprised by the governor's agenda. However, he noted that the release was earlier and more detailed than expected, something he attributes to her standing in the race.
By all the data that we have, she's trailing in that contested primary. So I think that's probably what's a little bit different than it would be if she were kind of cruising to this nomination.
According to Brewer, the battle between Mills and opponent Graham Plattner is one of the most closely followed in the state. He described some of Mills's latest moves, such as an attack ad against Plattner, as revealing potential vulnerability within the campaign.
You know, once things get, desperate for one side or the other, then that's when the negative campaigning comes out. And the reason that campaigns go negative is that it works.
Brewer says based on her platform, Mills appears to be pushing more progressive stances to try to close the gap between her and Plattner, including changing her position on a millionaire's tax that she previously opposed. Also vying to go up against incumbent Senator Susan Collins is candidate David Costello. However, with fundraising efforts trailing, Brewer says his odds are not looking promising.
Not to disparage his campaign in any way, but the reality is this is a Plattner-Mills race.
A link to the governor's policy platform can be found on our website, foxbangor.com. The Mills campaign said in a release that she will continue to detail more proposals as she continues to campaign across the state. In studio, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Coming up on ABC 7 News at noon, a school board votes to close a local school. We'll have details when we return.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
This is Maine. Wild, real, undeniably bold, with deep roots and endless horizons. From Acadia to Katahdin, from labs to lobster boats, this is where you push limits, explore new ideas, and discover your potential. So call it grit, call it pride, call it ingenuity. Whatever it is, you've got it. This is Maine. Claim your place.
With over 30 years of experience, Patriot General Contractors knows how to get your home renovation project done right. Our certified contractors can help you build, redesign, or finish the project of your dreams. Check out Facebook page for reviews and visit patriotgeneralcontractors.com to schedule your quote today. Patriot General Contractors, redesigning your properties for the future.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Located on Wilson Street in Brewer, Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, where you'll find only the best sushi, Asian favorites, and specialty crafted cocktails that will satisfy anyone. Try tatami seating for an immersive experience. Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, bringing delicious traditions to you.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Car accidents can be scary. It can feel like the whole world is crashing down around you. Hurt in a car accident, I'm on top of it. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222. Judge Judy never misses a beat.
This is my playpen.
Let me stop you.
Don't stop me ever. Is not an answer. I love this job.
Judge Judy.
Weekdays at 5 on ABC 7.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Despite reports of scattered airstrikes today, a two-week halt in the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran appear to be holding, with both sides claiming victory. ABC's Karen Travers has the latest from the White House.
President Trump this morning touting agreement and cooperation between the U.S. and Iran. But there are big questions about what comes next amid this two-week ceasefire. Vice President Vance today repeatedly calling it a fragile truce.
And I think if they negotiate in good faith, we will be able to find a deal. But that's a big if, and ultimately it's up to the Iranians how they negotiate. I hope they make the right decision.
Just 90 minutes before his self-imposed deadline, President Trump backing off his threat to wipe out a whole civilization, agreeing to suspend attacks on Iran for 2 weeks once Iran reopens the Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes, but he chose mercy.
The president today writing on social media that Iran would be working closely with the U.S. to dig up and remove all of the deeply buried nuclear dust.
They know this agreement means that they will never, ever possess a nuclear weapon.
Iran's foreign minister saying their military will allow the massive buildup of tankers in the critical strait to pass through. The price of oil plummeting on the news of a ceasefire. But even with the agreement, Iran still controls the strait. Before the war, there was free passage through this vital waterway. The president claiming that the U.S. will be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz. He didn't say how.
Let us be clear, a ceasefire is a pause, and the joint force remains ready if ordered or called upon to resume combat operations.
Israel said it supported the ceasefire, but still launched strikes today against Iranian-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon.
President Trump told ABC News today that U.S. forces will not be leaving the region anytime soon. They'll stay to enforce this agreement. He said he expects talks between the U.S. and Iran to start on Friday. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
After its flight around the far side of the moon, Artemis II made a ship-to-ship call to its other colleagues in space. It comes as the 4 astronauts on board prepare to return home.
Back in Earth's gravitational pull, Artemis II is on track to splash down in the Pacific Ocean on Friday. Today, NASA says the crew will perform manual piloting tests and evaluate garments designed to help maintain blood pressure and circulation in astronauts returning from space.
We're really looking forward to turning this around and flying again in a year, and then again a year after that.
On Tuesday, the Artemis crew had another historic day on board Orion as they spoke with their colleagues at the International Space Station.
We have you loud and clear. How about us?
We have you loud and clear as well.
It marked the first ship-to-ship call between a manned moon mission and astronauts living in low Earth orbit, and one NASA officials hope leads to a more connected space program.
Hopefully in the not too distant future, we've got communication going on between our moon base. They're colleagues that are orbiting above them in a lander, relaying back maybe to other colleagues on an international or future commercial space station.
The space agency says Artemis II sent back a massive amount of pictures and data from its lunar flyby this week, and that information will help inform future missions.
To understand where can we go to maximize the scientific value. These ultimately get at chronology of the solar system.
NASA says the data will be collected and released in detailed reports within 6 months after splashdown. At the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Major new developments in the Long Island, New York serial killer case. The suspect, Ruck Heuermann, is expected to plead guilty to 8 different murders dating back to the 1990s. He originally pleaded not guilty to 7 of the murders and was preparing to stand trial later this year. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
It's a true crime case that has made headlines for decades, and now some closure for the families of those who were killed at the hands of Rex Heuermann, a suburban father who has now pleaded guilty to 8 murders. Heuermann's ex-wife, Asa Ellerup, seen walking into court this morning. All of the victims were young sex workers whose remains were found starting in 1993 until 2010 along the shoreline near Gilgo Beach and elsewhere on Long Island. After years of searching for clues, police zeroing in on Heuermann back in 2023, taking him into custody during his workday at an architecture firm in Manhattan.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us.
Prosecutors say they lifted DNA evidence from a strand of hair on burlap used to wrap some of the victims and pizza crust in the trash outside Heuermann's office. They say he used the alias Thomas Hawk to communicate with dozens of sex workers, kept a blueprint of the killings that included a list of supplies, locations of dump sites, and reminders to burn gloves and dispose of drop cloths.
Heuermann had pleaded not guilty when he was first charged, and he was preparing to stand trial in September. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
RSU 63 serves the towns of Clifton, Holden, and Eddington. Last night, their school board voted to close the Eddington Elementary School. Our Callie Warren has more.
The emotions are across the board. Nobody wants to close the school.
With just 116 pre-K to first graders attending classes at the Eddington Elementary School and around 12 full-time teachers to instruct them, the RSU 63 school board is concerned that keeping classrooms open is costing taxpayers more in the long run.
Enrollment's down, funding's down, and our number one priority is the kids and their services and the resources. So, we have to keep the kids, the students in the forefront with the decisions that we make.
With the Eddington School needing building repairs and state funding being cut due to lower enrollment numbers, school board members say that the school staying open is creating a roughly $500,000 budget shortfall. They say a school closure would not affect educators' jobs, but the matter remains contentious among local taxpayers.
With the tax rate going up as a result of revaluation and everything else, we've got to do what we can to cut taxes.
There is no saving, no difference in students and special education because you have to have the same amount of staff, you have the same needs for the students.
The board voted Tuesday night to close the school 6-2, though a long process still remains.
The superintendent kind of puts a report together that then goes to the state. The state will then determine if the building is needed or not. And from there, it will go to a referendum between the 3 towns.
Callie Warren reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
After the break, if you're a veteran, they'd like for you to be part of the 4th of July festivities in Bangor. We've got details when we return.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens. Acorn Stairlifts has the solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stairlift, the world's leader in stairlifts. Don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stairlifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Why risk falling when you can safely ride?
Our Acorn Stairlift is definitely more affordable than moving.
The Acorn Stairlift has a padded seat and backrest. Safety sensors stop the chair if there are obstacles. The seat swivels and locks so you don't twist your body. And the Acorn Stairlift folds away. It even runs during power outages.
I was really surprised at how little it cost.
Call 1-800-732-2971 right now for your free information kit or visit our website today. That's 1-800-732-2971.
Jamar Construction Products in Bangor continues to grow to meet our customers' needs, supplying products for site work contractors, concrete contractors, and survey and safety supplies. We are proud to be the local dealer for Hilti, Valley Blades, U.S. Fabrics, and Euclid Chemical, plus so much more. Stop by and see us at 1270 Hammond Street or give us a call at 907-4491. If you dig it, pour it, plow it, fasten it, lay it, or lift it, Jamar Construction Products can help you.
I got hurt in a car accident. Why should I call the twos?
Because when you're hurt, you need money. And I don't take tiny checks. I get my clients big checks. I got a client who injured their wrist, a big check for $185,000. Another client broke their collarbone, and I also got them a big check for $400,000.
Don't take a tiny check for your car wreck. Call the twos.
Hurt in a car accident? I'm your go-to guy.
We can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
It's the reason we get combo dinners whenever we order Chinese food, and why we always ask for those extra packs of duck sauce. We're talking about egg rolls. And today, these aren't just any egg rolls, we're talking homemade ones, and they're a lot easier than you may think. We begin with our filling, which is simply some shredded Chinese cabbage. It's also known as Napa cabbage. Now we're going to add in some chopped scallions, grated carrots, some cooked diced chicken. And now we're going to load it up with a ton of flavor by adding some soy sauce, accented with a little garlic, ginger, and brown sugar. After it marinates for a bit, we drain it, and we drain it really well and spoon it onto our egg roll skins. Now for the fun part. We brush the edges with a bit of beaten egg and then roll them up. First, fold one edge over the filling, then tuck in both sides real snugly, and we'll roll it up. Now we cook them in an inch or so of hot peanut oil in a deep skillet or even a soup pot. This way it doesn't splatter. And once they're golden, drain them on a paper towel and they are done. And when you bite into these chicken and veggie packed Asian favorites, get ready for lots of crunch and flavor. Just don't forget the sweet and sour sauce and the spicy mustard, since these are the perfect dippable snack. If you want to try our recipe for chicken egg rolls, it's online now. It's one of those dishes that will definitely impress everyone, and only we know how easy it is. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where every day we're looking for an easier way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
The Greater Bangor 4th of July Committee is calling on veterans to help make this year's 250th 4th of July celebration one to remember. Veterans are invited to take part in the parade, walking side by side with their fellow service members, while community residents line the streets and show their support. Organizers say the goal is to make this year one of the biggest and most meaningful celebrations yet. Vice President of the committee, Jennifer Goddard, says this milestone year is more than just a celebration. It's about recognizing and honoring the men and women who made it all possible.
We believe that, if it weren't for our veterans, we wouldn't be able to celebrate this huge milestone. So we really want to see a huge military representation, and especially those of our veterans, so we can appreciate them.
Organizers say the committee is working to finalize a flyover with Black Hawk helicopters and other military aircraft. Later that evening, the committee says they're putting on what is expected to be the largest fireworks display in the state of Maine. Veterans interested in taking part in this year's parade can sign up through the Bangor 4th of July Committee's website. We will also have a link to that on our website, foxbangor.com. When we return, Devin Biggs has your 5-day forecast.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
When I had first left for college, I was super excited to start pursuing my dreams, and I had met so many amazing people my freshman year. Yeah, some days were really hard, balancing work life and classes, but most of them, they were the best of my life, because I had something not everyone gets. A dad inspiring me every step of the way, and I'm so happy to graduate beside you.
Hi, I'm Tony with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Is your foundation shifting, settling, or cracking? Don't wait till it's too late. We offer the most reliable solutions to lift and stabilize your sinking foundation. With our advanced piering techniques, we'll ensure your home is back on solid ground. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Let's check your full forecast with Devin Biggs. Devin?
Alrighty, Susan, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. The last of a small craft advisory has been allowed to expire, so we're now done with that. Wave heights are still decreasing at this point. We're at around 2 feet with 6 foot farther out towards sea, so still a wide discrepancy with 6 foot wave heights being noted farther out towards sea at this moment in time. So we'll still see what's going on with regards to any future advisories, but overall, we're not looking too bad. Look at the radar. It's quieting down on land. The satellite picture also quieting down, so I hope you kept the sunglasses handy. You'll want those today and again as we head towards tomorrow, with high pressure keeping things nice and clear for us with a lot of sunshine. You had to look toward the Midwest and the southern U.S. for any kind of precipitation that is currently going on. This system tracking from west to east at this moment in time. So a lot of sunshine today, some clouds to the north. Will be mostly clear coming up later on tonight. And then for tomorrow, notice some clouds to the north, but either way, still a lot of sunshine for us. Now later on tonight, we'll still have some passing clouds. Overall, a partly to maybe mostly cloudy sky in a few spots, but either way for your Friday, still not looking too bad to start things off. We would still welcome more precipitation. We're still considered in drought by the official drought monitor and moderate to severe drought. We'll have a chance for more precipitation later on. Again, definitely more precipitation, definitely welcome. Some wind today, not a big deal, at around 10, maybe 15 miles per hour for gusts. Really backing off later on tonight, but tomorrow, definitely the bigger day. Gusty winds getting close to 25 to 30 miles per hour. So for today, very quiet. Mostly sunny, mid-40s for the high, north wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. By tonight, mid-20s, mostly clear with the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then for tomorrow, we have upper 40s, mostly sunny and windy, south wind at about 30 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Partly cloudy for your Friday with highs in the low 60s, upper 40s for your Saturday. Some morning rain showers switching to a partly cloudy sky later on, and then mostly sunny Sunday, highs in the upper 50s.
Thank you, Devin. A well-known sculpture in Skowhegan is now under new ownership. A more than 60-foot-tall wooden sculpture of a Native American fisherman has been a local landmark for nearly 60 years. The Skowhegan Regional Chamber of Commerce confirmed it has reached an agreement with a new nonprofit group, Watching Point, which is taking over stewardship of the structure. Over the years, town officials say storm damage has taken a toll, making the structure a liability and a potential safety hazard. According to the chamber, the nonprofit aims to preserve the sculpture to ensure it remains accessible for future generations. And if you're heading through Ellsworth, you might notice some colorful new additions. Students at the middle school and the high school have been working with the city to design and paint unique flags centered on the Earth Day themes of sustainability and environmental conservation. The flags have been installed by the city's ground maintenance team. They will be flying throughout the city during the month of April. Students say they learned a lot about the importance of taking care of your community.
That would make us happy, and it's really cool for us to see the flags up.
Yeah, to see our own artwork hanging above the sky so all of Ellsworth can see it.
After flying through Earth Day and the month of April, the flags will be taken down on May 1st to make way for the traditional American flags for the city's Memorial Day observance. That's all for ABC 7 News at noon. Thanks for watching. I'm Susan Farley. We'll see you this evening on ABC 7 News at 6. Have a great afternoon.
It's back, Bangor! The Greater Bangor Area Music Showcase returns with the fan favorite music off-Broadway. Join Roger George and his talented musicians for an unforgettable show, all to support Rotary's work in our local community. Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, April 12th at 3 p.m. Getting your tickets is easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen. Bring your friends, bring your family, and enjoy a show that makes a difference. Don't miss it.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The following program is a paid commercial announcement sponsored by Great Healthworks.